Whoa, music? This is no joke. This is no fly-by-night operation, people. This is the Red Ticket Blues podcast with Brian, last name Buckley. How's everyone doing today? Yeah, we got music here. Leaps and bounds, people. Leaps and bounds. Went with a little reggae feel. I know not everyone's a fan of reggae, but I thought better than that than hip-hop. A lot of podcasts have hip-hop to begin their show, and as a 34-year-old white guy, I got to distance myself from hip-hop these days. I grew up with it, and I think it's more of a maturation process, and I know some people probably don't agree with that, but I mean, I'm not going to be bumping around in my Accord listening to Rick Ross or Lil Wayne. I mean, I'll throw in Tribe or whatever, or Mobb Deep, but at a certain point, you got to let go. I don't know. Let go and move on to what? I don't know. I'm not really sure. My parents will play music. Should I listen to their music? I mean, they played CCR and Allman Brothers and Bob Dylan around the house when we were younger. I mean, I don't know. Might be playing METHOD Man, talking about getting his asshole closed from the 36 Chambers. I don't know if that's proper. I don't know. But anyways, enough of that. The better question is, what the hell am I talking about? So, this is where we are, people. Another week. This is a second podcast. A lot of you thought wouldn't happen, but it has. Actually, I don't know anyone that didn't. But before we get into everything, obviously, we've heard the news. Sad note with Stuart Scott, the ESPN anchor, succumbing to cancer at the age of 49, which is insanely too early. Full disclosure, I was never a huge Stuart Scott fan. I didn't hate him. Just wasn't. I think subconsciously, a lot of his sayings, his style, seeped into our daily vocabulary and even mine. And even saying I didn't really like him, it happened. A lot of celebrity people have their Stuart Scott moments that they're letting people know about. And I'll tell you, I even have a Stuart Scott moment. He was, I live in Connecticut, and obviously ESPN Studios is located in Bristol. I was at the West Farms Mall years ago, and in West Hartford, which is close to Bristol. And, I saw him, and as a stupid, sarcastic teenager, teenager, just wanting to say dumb things.
He didn't actually say anything. He raised his fist in the air
stupid, like Tommy Smith, or something dumb. And he looked at me straight-laced. There was a mutual understanding of respect and playfulness, and unfortunately not all encounters with people that are in the media like that are that well. That happen that nicely, aren't that pleasant. And it was a sneak preview of, things can go your way, but unfortunately they didn't after that. But that was a good moment. I mean, it's a small moment. I didn't obviously work with him or anything, but it was nice to see people actually acknowledging you instead of just walking by you as if you were gutter trash. But he leaves behind a wife and 2 kids. Rough stuff. 49 years old. When you're a kid, you think it's far away, and I'll tell you, 49 is not that old. Very sad. But we have to move on. How's everyone doing? How was your New Year's? I bet it was terrible, wasn't it? You people just don't get it. New Year's is the worst holiday ever. It's terrible. It's never as much fun as you think it will be. And did people at work say to you, see you next year? Did they say that like it was really funny? And did they say it a few times because you ignored them the first few times because it wasn't funny? Yeah, well, I'm sure that did happen. The last time I thought that was funny was the first time. When I was about 7 years old and I found out my friends at school, hey, technically it is next year. That's comedy. We found some sort of hidden gem. I went home to my parents with it, and they looked at me with the way only a parent can look at you. They're my parents, so they acknowledged the comedy I was trying to relay to them, but they also gave me a look the same way. Hey, moron, you didn't invent that. It's been going on since the advent of the Julian calendar. You did not discover anything interesting. So, move on. And that was the last time I thought it was funny. Great story. Okay, so we're going to move on to talk about a lot of football this week. It's obviously, this is the time of year when it dominates sports. You got baseball after the winter meetings, basically just sitting around, analyzing single-A prospects that the Padres picked up in a trade. If you want to listen to that, please tell me. At BrianBuck13 on Twitter. You tell me if that's what you want to hear break down. But I don't think you're gonna. So a lot of college football, obviously, the birth of the playoff, which had Florida State versus Oregon. And I just want to thank Watch ESPN, the app, because they did a great job at not having a functioning app, because some of our wives don't want to watch, 36 hours of football in a 3-day period. So I thought I'd be nice and actually watch on the app. But why would that work in the middle of the first playoff game ever? Makes no sense. But I was able to watch the game, and obviously it was the two quarterbacks, Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, of their respective teams going up against each other. Might be the 1-2 pick in the draft. I'll tell you, personally in college football, I do follow it, and I'm glad that they put these playoffs into place, because for people like me, I really can't get into it. I can't get into the co-champions. Or people at the end of the year saying, oh, well, they should have played them. They would have beat them on this. Enough of this. I know you can't make it like college basketball, but we needed something. So I'm glad they did this. Because honestly, if I'm a fan of a team and they play in the East Goshen Auto Body Pep Boys Bowl, that does nothing for me if they win that game. What does that mean? It means nothing. And I'm sure college athletes or guys that played football will probably say, you're an idiot. You've never played sports. You're right. I haven't played in a competitive game of recreational intramural since college at basketball. But I don't know if they sit around telling war stories when they're 50 saying, remember when we won the Pep Boys game? That was what dreams are made of. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm glad that they actually put this system into play. Obviously, the game got out of hand a little quick. Well, not a little quick, but it got out of hand eventually. Winston, you can tell, is an NFL quarterback. Mariota, I'm not convinced. He's part of a scheme. He reminds me of Nick Foles playing in that same system. I don't know what is on my hands here. Shut off my socks. Anyways, Marcus Mariota, I don't know what he's going to be in the NFL. He could be something. Obviously, he's going to be something, but I don't know. Jameis Winston, obviously, there's the things off the field. I wasn't there that night. I don't know. I don't know what happened. But if you put a gun to my head, Jameis Winston did something wrong that night, and he is skating because he's a football player. This reminds me of like the 1950s and in Texas football, or maybe even present day, of just the football players. They run. Obviously, it is present day. Look at the Tallahassee police and the Florida State police just allowing things to happen. There's a great article a few months ago done by the New York Times just highlighting all of the crimes that these players have been accused of. I think my favorite was from the wide receiver Jesus Bobo Wilson. I believe he's a wide receiver. Internet, please crucify me if I'm wrong. Who basically stole a moped. Then the owner of the moped went to the police to tell them about this. Wilson was found with the moped, said he borrowed it from a friend, later admitted he didn't. The police then said to this owner of the moped, you sure you didn't let him borrow this? He said, I've never met this human being in my life. Yeah, I don't know about that. Are you sure? Judging if someone gave someone permission to ride a moped or not. That was my favorite. But the BB gun wars, the crab legs, the accusations of point shaving, although consider the source incarcerated Bob, which is, God, you want to live your life like that? I don't know what to tell you. But, grants adjust, Mike. But you can see he's an NFL quarterback. Winston is ready, even though he got knocked out by that sonic boom from Guile, a Street Fighter, knocked down the referee, too. But that's when I turned off the game, too. I had enough. And my wife had been watching this show, Brotherhood, on Showtime, failed TV. It's just not good, but I can't stop watching it. It's like The Wire, but not good. That's a pretty good comparison. I like that. But I don't know what Winston's going to be in the NFL. A lot of people want to compare him to Johnny Manziel, saying, oh, well, party boy, he's got his issues off the field. No, it's not the same. People were questioning if Johnny Manziel can play in the NFL. And obviously, well, we've seen from 2 games. I'm not a Johnny Manziel fan, but I am not saying he can't play in the league. Obviously, the beginning was not a glowing performance, but give the kid a break at least. Jameis Winston can play. And if he stays out of trouble, He's going to be a great NFL player. But I'm making this prediction right now. Jameis Winston will serve at least one day in jail by the time he's 30 years old. Unfair? Possibly. Unprofessional? Maybe. But that's my opinion. So suck it. Anyways, I didn't see much of the Ohio State-Alabama game. Baby steps, people. I'm not a college football fan, so one game's enough, and maybe I'll watch 3/4 of the championship game. But back and forth game, Ohio State comes out with the victory. Not sure what Urban Meyer's doing on that last set of downs, trying to kill the clock, but throwing passes. Interesting strategy. I think Mike Smith endorsed that one. But obviously Ohio State comes away with the upset, and they'll face Oregon in the finals on the 12th, which, like I said, I'll probably watch that. Yeah, do a podcast. Yeah, I'll probably watch a college football championship. Yeah, if I can fit it into my schedule. Let's get to the real stuff, the NFL, where the men are men. They play football. As opposed to the football they play in college. Whatever that means. So we'll start, I looked at this weekend, sort of like a plate, a meal you'd eat. You want to get to the dessert, the Lions, and I was going to say the Lions and Tigers. Just Lions and Cowboys. But you got to go through all the vegetables and the crap you don't want to eat. And it started with shit. In the Cardinals and Panthers, and no one expected this game to be anything short of garbage. And it lived up to that expectation. It was about who wanted to lose this game more, and obviously the Cardinals, they were victorious in that fashion. Ryan Lindley, what can I say? He's awful. 16-28 for 82 yards. If the purpose of the game were to overthrow your receiver consistently, he would be the best player in the NFL. But you do have to give him a break. He's a third-string quarterback. He is what he is. You can't try to mask him and make him something he isn't. The entire team, 78 total yards. 8 total first downs. The Panthers had 5 times as many total yards as the Cardinals. Yet they should have won by a lot more, looking at those statistics. Really kind of a boring game. Jonathan Stewart did some work. Fozzie Whitaker had that great run. Cam Newton didn't play that well. Threw for 198 yards. After the game, he's wearing a tuxedo, loafers with no socks. I talked last week about Cam Newton. The guy's a tremendous player, but I don't know where he comes off acting the way he does. I think the main thing is when you have to sit and just listen to me carefully. This is the thing with Cam Newton. Cam Newton is an asshole. A lot of people are saying, why do people hate? A lot of people are questioning other people. Why so much hate for Cam? Well, come on, this guy's a number 1 pick. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. He's a college champion. Yeah, he's done all that. He's done nothing in the NFL. There's a lot of professional athletes in all sports these days that I don't know. They act. There's some sort of privilege. Like they can act like they're some Hall of Famer when they've accomplished nothing. And football's not the only sport, but Cam is. Cam was a perfect example of it. The excessive celebration, the dressing. He wore a tuxedo. He's sashaying around like he's part of the frat pack or he's Don Draper. I don't know. Win something. And for as much as I dislike Richard Sherman, and this is that he's a guy, boy, who won't even speak to the media after a loss. He's allowed to say the stuff he does. He's very good at what he does. He's very good. He's won championships. I don't agree with a lot of the things Richard Sherman says. I think that most of them are self-serving and manipulative. He manipulates things. Whew. But Cam Newton, you hope he can just mature a little. He's only 25 years old. I give the guy a break, but I don't know. There's a lot of guys that in sports these days that act like this. They want respect for stuff they haven't accomplished yet. Make it to a Super Bowl, Cam. Make it to a Super Bowl. The next game is the Steelers and Ravens. By the way, let's go back to that Cardinals-Ravens game. Cardinals-Panthers game. I took the Panthers in that, -4.5. That's 1-0. That's one game I picked correctly. All right, Steelers-Ravens. Joe Flacco never puts up great numbers in the NFL. He doesn't always put up great. He doesn't put up the prettiest numbers all the time. He gets the job done. He's 10-4 in the playoffs, 18 for 29, 259. Well, that's good. But the guy plays smart. He gets paid a lot of money, and a lot of times people are questioning it. But when push comes to shove in the playoffs, the guy gets things done. 295 total Ravens yards were able to take this game. Steve Smith is a man. We'll just say that. Steve Smith, when the apocalypse is upon us and nothing is here, will be nothing but Steve Smith, and he will be angry. That's all I have to say. Palomalu, although he had 8 tackles in the loss, I think he's done. There's a look at his face. They kept showing him at the end, sitting on the bench. It was just a look. Obviously, it was a look of defeat. They were losing in the playoffs, and their season was about to be over. I would not be shocked if Troy Polamalu announces a retirement this off-season. Obviously, hasn't been the same player in a few years. But we'll go back to the big story with this game, and that was the obvious concussion that Ben Roethlisberger had and Heath Miller had. So bad that the referees said, "Get the hell out of here! You're dazed." And so what do? They go there to Ben Roethlisberger particularly goes to get a concussion diagnosis, which normally takes 15 to 20 minutes. What was he out? 2 to 3 minutes? So obviously they didn't do that there. And they said, oh, it's just a neck injury. Yeah, it's just a neck injury. And Roethlisberger said, it's just whiplash. Oh, so that's why he came back. Oh, okay. Because neck injuries, why would you be concerned about that? Not anything to be concerned about. Not at all. So, and he comes back in and then throws it right to a Ravens receiver to end the game. This was one loss I had. I had the Steelers winning this game. I believe the spread was 3, and obviously I lost that one, so it's for entertainment purposes only, people. So what do you want from me? We do have the Colts Bengals on Sunday. Start the day. I'm just sipping my coffee here. Everyone take a break. It's really annoying. Colts Bengals, predictable result. Andy Dalton, well, he wasn't his normal terrible self on the big stage. He wasn't good. He needed A.J. Green in there. And Colts take it away. I believe it was minus 4.5. I took the Colts, won that one. I'm good. I'm real good. I was reading, what is wrong with you people, too, by the way? Andy Dalton, he wasn't great. I get it. 10 total points. Again, in the playoffs. 0-4. I get it. But you people that go to his Twitter page and just rip him apart. Who are you people? What is wrong with you? Kill yourself. You're terrible. Quit the game. Is that what you do? You watch a football game and then you immediately go and just try to rip someone? I don't understand the mentality behind some of you people. Oh, God. What is wrong with you? Anyways, luck was great. Mike Francesa told us all about it. If you don't know who Mike Francesa is, he's a part of the Mike and the Mad Dog, former show Mike and the Mad Dog program, which elevated sports media to basically a staple of talk radio. He is pompous, he's arrogant, he's dismissive of callers, and I love him. He's a guy that I listen to every day. He has his biases, he has his favorites, and he's basically one of the biggest blowhards on any subject you could possibly imagine, and the idea that it's sports is just insane. He is the sports pope for a reason, and he has an enormous man crush on Andrew Luck. I don't know if many people do. It's kind of odd. He's a very boring player, but he is if you went to a factory and wanted to make a quarterback, Andrew Luck would be the man that would come out. Mike did not tell me to say that. He was 31 of 44 for 376 yards. That pass to Dante Moncrief, falling down with 8 minutes in the third quarter, made it 20-10, and that was your ball game right there. Well, it was only 10 points. The Bengals' offense was pathetic. They were not moving the ball well. It barely moved the ball at all. What am I talking about? There's no A.J. Green, no Jermaine Gresham, and they lost, oh God, I can never pronounce his name, Mulaga. The defensive guy with the long hair. Red Ticket Blues. All right. But the Colts move on there, and obviously we move on to the last game of the day. Sunday was the 42.3 million people watched this game, the Dallas Cowboys versus the Detroit Lions. If you were lucky enough to watch the game from the beginning, Aaron Andrews had a great interview with Tony Romo, with lots of echoing in their voices and them reflecting in the background, the camera shaking. I don't know why these channels, why they decide to do this, as if it's going to make these cliche bullshit answers any more important. Are we that stupid as a society that we need flashing lights and echoes to pay attention to the same answers that are really not exciting at all? I don't get that, but very, very bizarre. Very bizarre. Maybe they do it all the time and I just don't realize it. I'm not sure, but you had a feeling going into this that maybe it was Dallas's year. Going into halftime, it's 17-7, and then Dan Bailey coming out after that, in the beginning of that third quarter, and missing the field goal, and he said, holy Christ, it's happening again. It's happening again. The Cowboys are going down. But they had managed to come back, and it's all about flags, people. Flag this, flag that. No, I'm kidding. It's one flag, and it was later picked up briefly in our lives, but it made an impact, just like me. But who knows what the hell happened on that play. Des Bryant running all over the field. Mike Pereira was on with Mike Francesa today saying it shouldn't have been a flag. I don't understand how coaches do that all the time. You allow players to run on the field. I don't know where you go from there. I think it's a bad precedent to set. There's also people talking that is a conspiracy because Cowboy football, Jerry Jones, Cowboys owner, his son was seen partying with the head of NFL referees earlier this year, so they think it's some sort of conspiracy theory, some sort of cahoots. Normally conspiracy theories, they don't admit that they're wrong afterwards, which is what the league did today. It's not like the Warren Commission decided, oh, well, we went through things and it looks pretty bad. And by the way, yeah, the whole CIA, everyone involved, the government, yeah, they did kill him on purpose. So we're sorry. I don't know. That was a bad comparison. But you know what I mean. Normally they're cloaked in secrecy, and I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. If you're a Lions fan, you just want to jump off a bridge, roll them up on the carpet and throw them off a bridge, right? Work for Homer. I don't know. I don't know what to say. That just, to make a play like that at the end of the game, and it was clearly pass interference, and then to pick it up, just don't throw it in the first place. To just pick it up, it makes you think Tim Donaghy. It takes you back to that. This football is usually never the game that you think is going to be fixed. It's always basketball a lot of the times because the human element of a referee calling a foul, the touch fouls, everything, that they can manipulate a game. And that's what Tim Donaghy said. I remember watching that damn game. I think it was 2003, the Kings and the Lakers, Game 6. I remember watching that game thinking, this is fixed. And then you have people, Brian, what the hell are you talking? It's fixed. And what do you know? I was right. Yeah, I was right. So this game also had, it was 6.5, Dallas minus 6.5. I took Detroit in this, and once again, I win. So I'm 3-1 last weekend. Hope you made a lot of money on that. I, apparently some sort of sick sadist, I bet on one game, and I bet on Cincinnati. I don't even know what I'm doing. But we move on to next week. Baltimore is going to take on New England. Brady's just salivating at that Baltimore secondary. That should be interesting. Obviously, Baltimore has success there. And it's going to be interesting to see what they can do if they can pull off another playoff win in New England. You got Baltimore. I'm going to take Baltimore. The spread's 7 points here. New England's favored. I'm going to take Baltimore plus 7 in this. I think New England's going to win this game, but Baltimore is going to cover. And I'm going to give you that my lock of the week. How corny and hacky is that? My lock and maybe my shoe-in of the week? Is everyone picking up these Simpson references? It's a pretty big show. The next game on Saturday, the night game, will be Seattle versus Carolina, and that is going to be a disgusting game. I think Seattle is favored by 11 points. That is going to be brutal. Absolutely brutal. Yeah, Arizona has a great defense, but Carolina still look like garbage. They were able to beat Ryan Lindley. Again, no disrespect to Ryan Lindley. You are what you are, but, get off my TV. Cam's gonna struggle. It's gonna be disgusting. It's gonna be bad, and I'll take Seattle by 20 on that. That's gonna be bad. On Sunday, that's when we get the good games.
there it is again.
Sunday, we get the good games. Green Bay, Dallas, premier matchup. All the big names. Witten, Rodgers, Romo, Murray, Bryant, Nelson. They'll all be there. Dallas is 8-0 on the road. Green Bay's 8-0 at home. Something's got to give. God, I hope they say that in one of the promos. God, that'd be so lazy. Last playoff meeting was the Ice Bowl. I'll tell you, I feel embarrassed. I know the Ice Bowl. I know it was a big game, and it was a playoff game. It was an NFC game in '67, but I know it was cold. But I don't know a lot about it. I feel embarrassed that with that, it was -48 game time with the wind chill. I don't know who's going to win this game. I don't know who's going to win this game. It's Green Bay -6.5. That's why I'm going to take Dallas +6.5. I don't know if they're going to win. Green Bay, I almost feel like they're just they've been waiting. They just sort of, put the brakes on a little bit at the end of the season, and I think that they might explode. I don't know. It's not great analysis from me, as you can tell, but it is what it is. The night game, obviously, Indianapolis versus Denver. Peyton Manning faces the man who booted him from his only home in the NFL, Andrew Luck. The offensive line of Indianapolis, can Denver destroy them? Can they? It's a great question. It's going to be big. But the biggest question is, what is Peyton Manning? They definitely put the brakes on at the end of the season. And a lot of C.J. Anderson. Is Peyton hurt? Is he old? Is his arm strength there? Well, we know he's old, but is his arm strength still there? I don't know. I think it's going to be a little difficult for Indianapolis to game plan for this, because they're probably thinking, what are we? Are we trying to stop C.J. Anderson? Are we trying to stop Peyton Manning? It sounds so stupid, but Denver, the last 4 or 5 games of the season, does not look like the same team. So, but I got faith in Peyton Manning. Not something you hear a lot in the playoffs coming out of people's mouths. I have faith in them. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to cover the 7 points too. So, just in review, people, so I can tell you how great I am next week. Baltimore +7. Seattle -11, Dallas +6.5, and Denver -7. Now, something's happening tomorrow that is always a circus every time of year, and that's the release of the Baseball Hall of Fame inductees. Well, they're selections for the Hall of Fame. You have all these nerd baseball writers tell you this, tell you that. And baseball stats can be misconstrued towards anyone's argument. It's so ridiculous. It's the only sport where it's done because people are so obsessed with numbers in it. Numbers used to mean something until the steroid era. They still do mean stuff, but I mean, baseball is a sport where there's still, every year it seems as if there's more stats being created. Every year to analyze. Basically, people are just creating stats to help their argument. It's ridiculous. But you gotta love going on Twitter and seeing everyone, all the baseball writers showing you who they voted for and why this is that. And it's ridiculous. It's all about making themselves more important than the vote they actually are. Then you have Le Batard selling his vote, or not selling, but giving it to the fans. You have that one jerk out in the Des Moines who will vote for Andy Stankiewicz as a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's ridiculous. I see 2 players. It's going to be Pedro Martinez or Randy Johnson. Yeah, you might get Smoltz. You might get Craig Biggio after they sort of they closed the velvet rope on him last year. 3,000 hits. He is a compiler. But we'll see. I almost look at the Hall of Fame as like a club that used to be really hot. Only a few people got in. Then it got more popular, and they let a few more people in. Next thing you know, you're letting seedy people in, and what do seedy people bring? They bring the drugs. So then they had to shut the whole thing down, restart it with a different name, and that's where we're at now. I see, with this whole steroid thing going further, the steroid era becoming more involved in voting for the Hall of Fame, I see a smaller crowd going in all the time. If you had abnormal numbers, or if there's one speck of suspicion that you were ever involved in steroids, you will not be going to the Hall of Fame. And for some people, that sucks. And you know who else it sucks for? Is the people that didn't do steroids and put up pedestrian numbers, basically meaning average or good numbers in those, and they're going to be penalized. And that sucks. It really does. I do see a lot of Lee Smith talk, even though his numbers went down big. It was 50% when he was first on the ballot in 2012, then down to 29% last year. I just want to share an interesting story. About a few years ago, I was out in Arizona, and it was a Cubs-Giants minor league game in Scottsdale there. Lee Smith there was signing autographs. And he seemed to be pretty chatty with the ladies, having a few drinks. So me and my friend went over to him. Couldn't be more pleasant. And obviously he's a large man, but I'll tell you, when Lee Smith stands up to me. Yeah, he wanted to fight me. I said, fuck off. I'll beat the shit out of you. No, when he stands up, that is a big man. That's a Flozell Adams size man. So we talked with him. Guy was awesome. We bought him beers. He bought us beers. This was just he was signing autographs with Ferguson Jenkins. Ferguson Jenkins wanted nothing to do with us. It wasn't mean. He had no concern for us. No, not a care in the world about us. He was trying to sell his merchandise. Lee talked to us. I asked him. I said, "What was your favorite team being on?" And he said, "The Cardinals. When I was on the Cardinals, that was the most fun I ever had." And I said, "What about, was it 93 when you were around with the Yankees? What about that?" He said, "No, that was terrible. And Buck Showalter could never remember my name. He kept calling me Ozzie Smith." True story. So, Lee Smith, good guy. Just thought I'd say that for no particular reason other than I don't know when I'm going to bring up Lee Smith again. So, good luck to him. He's not going to get in. And one of my all-time favorite players, Don Mattingly. This is the last shot at the MVP. Last shot at the Hall of Fame. He has no chance of getting in. And frankly, it hurts me to say, but he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. The guy had great years. He had the MVP in '86. If we wanted to measure Hall of Fame entrance on 4 or 5 years, we could take those core 4 or 5 years, and he'd be in shoe-in. A lot of those years were single-digit home runs. That back pain really screwed with Don Mattingly. I think he's going to have to go the Joe Torre route of maybe winning a championship or 2 for some of those Twitter people out there. I don't know. Mattingly, he's going to have to win a few as a manager. Comparable numbers to Torre at the same time with his playing days. And Torre, yeah, he's got 4. I'm not expecting Mattingly to get 4 championships, but that's the way it goes. I don't know what else to say, people. I did find something interesting that Mets. I'm only mentioning this because it is ending soon. The Mets billboard, much like the Jets billboard, the Fire Idzik billboard. I don't think it got John Idzik fired, but I think it did play a part in Woody Johnson's mind when he made the change. No one wants their general manager on a big billboard near your product saying fire him. The Mets, I don't have the person's name, I apologize, but there is a campaign to put a billboard on Roosevelt Street, on the same street as Citi Field, that says, what is it? It's free Mets fans, sell the team, basically telling the Wilpons to sell the team. I don't think you're going to get the same success there. I don't think owners are going to look at it and say, "Oh, wow, we're doing terrible. Let's sell the team." But I always like to see owners and rich people look stupid, so I wanted to promote it. If you look up on Kickstarter the Mets billboard, you'll find it. They need $5,000 by January 16th. Right now they got $3,225. So I would like to see it. It would be interesting. That's about it for this week. We could briefly talk about some college basketball. Not much going on right now. Kentucky is disgusting. Normally people don't say a team is going to go undefeated. I can see that team going undefeated. They are unreal. Their defensive pressure is just, it's gross. It's just gross. William Cauley-Stein, how lucky is UConn last year to not have William Cauley-Stein playing that finals game? I realize he's improved a lot since then. I get that, but he's a game changer. He's a game changer. That team, they're basically the first tier. The second tier is Duke, and then there's everyone else. My UConn team, they don't look great. Big one over Florida, but they're not good. They play in a terrible conference. They need to get out of the American Athletic Conference as soon as possible. They are going nowhere in it. Lost to Temple earlier this week. Down 2. 3 free throws. Miss them all. Of course, why not? But right now I'm not going to bore you with college. Still a lot of time left. I mean, there'll be plenty of time in the doldrums of January and February to get into the NBA and college. Local teams around NBA. Local teams around here in the NBA, god-awful. Boston, the Knicks and the Nets. The Knicks have more losses than anyone in the entire league. I don't think anyone foresaw a great season this year, but I don't think anyone foresaw a mind-bending, terrible season like this. Embarrassing. Melo's not concerned, though. Don't worry about it. He's a winner. Just ask him. He said he's tired of the winner stuff. He's been a winner. He won at Syracuse, so enough's enough, right? All right, I'm rambling at this point, so I hope everyone enjoyed this. It's www.redticketblues.com and at Twitter, at BrianBuck13. I was going to say .com after that, but that's incorrect, so at BrianBuck13. Hope you enjoyed everything. Hey, if you got anything, if you want to contribute to the podcast, tell me anything, why I suck, what I should talk about, I'm more than happy to do that. So, like to get some feedback. I would like to say thank you to everyone on Twitter who did give me a lot of positive feedback last week. I was really humbled. I realized this is a podcast that is not some global phenomenon. It was my shot at doing something for the first time. And normally with the internet, you're expecting people to rip you to shreds, slice and dice you, just to make you feel like you're 2 feet tall. But I'll tell you, a lot of people on Twitter, whether they were being nice or they actually meant it, I appreciate all the things that were said. I'm trying to improve this podcast every day, getting a flow, just getting a sort of routine down, and hopefully I can present the best product to you. And if you don't like it, seriously, go to hell. All right, everyone, I'll see you next week. We'll go over all the NFL that happened, and have a great week.